We're at almost an all-time low because of this ongoing cost of living crisis. A third of British adults have got less than £1,000 in savings.
75% of all of the money held in savings accounts gets less than 1% interest, which is absolutely insane.
And it's a really simple problem to fix.
There's some pretty horrific stats out there. 4.2 million days lost every year in absenteeism for employers because of financial insecurity for their staff.
If you're an employer, right now, that is the number one concern.
Biggest thing I see with founders when they're looking for other founders to co-found with is how do we build that rapport? How do you approach that now? And what advice would you have for founders that are watching?
One of the pieces of advice we had was to make sure that we...
Welcome to today's podcast. We're going to be meeting with Joss and Alex, who are here, co-founders of Sync Savings, the first savings plugin for UK and beyond. I'm really excited today. We're going to be talking about everything from financial resilience to the founder journey of how to pick your co-founder, all the way to how to build that really important co-founder dynamic to set you up well for success. We invested in Sync Savings earlier this year, and I'm really, really excited to have you both here to chat today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to kick us off straight in. I'd like to start talking about, and kind of, I guess, the thing that for me was like the big draw into you guys, which was the whole thing about financial wellness. So can we just paint a little bit of a picture around what is the state of financial wellness in the UK and beyond? Because obviously the startup operates internationally as well. But just get your feeling on and your thoughts on where we're at today.
Yeah, sure. So it's something we're really aware of, having previously built pots at Monzo and spent a lot of time in the employee benefits and employee wellness space. And that's sometimes where you hear a lot of the stories kind of bubble up as well. But we're at a kind of almost an all-time low because of this ongoing cost of living crisis. So a third of British adults have got less than £1,000 in savings. And 25% of us have got less than 100. So that puts you in this real scarcity mindset, which has really deep implications for overall wellness as well. So when you feel that you don't have that security or that safety of having a buffer, like a financial buffer, your whole mindset shifts really, really dramatically, and your brain chemistry shifts. So you're kind of 13 IQ points less intelligent because you're operating in kind of flight or fight mode, which then has implications for your relationships, for your ability to concentrate, your ability to do your job quite often, and your health. So we think that fixing this problem, and it's a really simple problem to fix, it's just helping people to set some money aside every month is enough to help you start building savings and just to go on that financial wellness journey.
Yeah, I think to add to that, it's just pretty stark at the moment, absolutely, like Joss mentioned. And it's not just folks who don't have savings. The people who are actually saving money are also getting really terrible interest rates typically. So 75% of all of the money held in savings accounts gets less than 1% interest, which is absolutely insane. So you have this crazy paradox where everybody wants to save more. Everybody knows they should be saving more. There are actually accounts out there, savings accounts with really good rates, but the vast majority of people just either aren't saving or getting really terrible rates. And that is almost solely down to convenience, because the most important thing when it comes to saving or not is convenience. And the products that are out there at the moment are just really inconvenient. So you have these Best Buy tables or league tables where people can go into Google and then search for what is the best savings account available. And they'll be shown a web page with a load of options on it. And there's just so much friction going through all of those steps to actually open a savings account to start saving that people don't. And so, yeah, we're here to solve that by making it effortless to save directly through your salary, essentially.
Yeah. And that's a brilliant segue into exactly what is Sync Savings, and also just a little bit about how you found each other, how you decided to co-found this business, and just the journey to that would be great.
Yeah, I actually set up the first auto-allocating cash management platform back in 2016 at Octopus Labs, and then went across to Monzo and kind of rebuilt it bigger and better in the form of Monzo Pots. And Alex and I actually met at Monzo, and after we left Monzo, we both co-founded an electric car business as part of the Octopus Energy group, where we sold electric vehicles as a salary sacrifice product. So we really got into the world of integrating with payroll systems and benefits platforms and understanding how all the nuts and bolts on that side kind of work. We both sort of missed Monzo because we loved the mission, like making money work for everyone. And we really had a deep understanding of how people save. And we learned so much through that process of founding that bank that was a kind of a mass market product where we were really committed to helping people with their money in a way that at the time high street banks were not. And we had to build lock functionality actually for Monzo Pots because people were like, put it somewhere I can't look at it or touch it. And that was one of the most engaging products that Monzo has. It still is. And I suppose what we were then, with what we were doing with Sync was kind of bringing those two things together, saying, well, we've built these cash management platforms, so we know and we have access to these challenger banks that are really desperate for sticky retail money. And on the other side, we'd spent a lot of time talking to benefits managers who were saying, what I need is a financial wellness benefit that I can offer to everyone. It's very nice having an electric car, but most employees, you have to pay minimum wage after you've deducted the benefit, and they can't offer that to everyone. And so we were like, well, we could bring our passion for making financial services accessible together with our deep knowledge and understanding of this untapped, largely, we think, distribution channel. And so we started talking about Sync. We realised actually in 2022, we've known each other for 9 years. So Alex was like the natural person to start talking to about it. And we took the leap in late 23 and we haven't looked back.
Amazing. So you worked together before. You had also then built something similar in the space, different sector, but building for payroll together at Octopus. And so you already had all of these experiences and then decided that you two were the co-founders to work together. Well, that's a great 9-year due diligence process.
We've really been through the trenches together. And I think when you've seen the best and worst of somebody, you can quite comfortably say whether you'd want to go into business with them.
So. We were lucky actually, because we did business banking at Monzo. We did early doors Monzo in that very rapid growth period. And then we did the electric car business. And
we're really fortunate, I think, to have worked at such incredible businesses that are so consumer centric, like Monzo and Octopus. And that's really, really ingrained into who we are as founders and people, really. And when we were analysing this situation where we talked about the saving side where people don't save, but on the other side, as Josh briefly mentioned, there are banks who can't access new customers as well. And these are banks who offer really good products and they invest in offering people their first mortgages on their first houses rather than putting money into oil and gas, for example. When we started first hitting the drawing board and understanding how can we close the gap here, then we, after quite a lot of time and trial and error, came across payroll savings, which we think is the most powerful distribution channel, because we've seen the impact that it's had with the likes of pensions. When you integrate a savings plan into somebody's salary, the uptake is phenomenal. The impact you can have is phenomenal. So this, we think, is the fastest way that we can impact large numbers of people to help them build financial resilience quickly.
I mean, I 100% wish I had this after my first job, straight after university, when I was paying off student debt, and I was auto-enrolled into pension, as you said, but I wasn't saving because it was just, and then you have your debt to pay as well. So I think it's like absolutely phenomenal what you're building. So many different tangents to take this. I want to first of all start, because I know a lot of founders watching will be wondering, how do I find that co-founder? How do I build that rapport? I would say, could you just share a little bit about how you handle maybe different decisions, how you handle different thought processes, how you engage on things where maybe you have different opinions? Because I think one of the biggest thing I see with founders when they're looking for other founders to co-found with is, how do we build that rapport? Obviously, you had 9 years to get to know each other, but just like, how do you approach that now? And what advice would you have for founders that are watching?
It's so interesting, actually. And actually, we had what I think was some pretty poor advice at the beginning. So when we were, because you meet someone, or maybe you know someone, and I think we were lucky because Alex was like the obvious person that I thought, I'm going to speak. Because I spoke to a few people. I was like, I'm definitely going to speak to Alex. I've got this idea. And it felt kind of like that was lucky because Alex was the person in my mind. But and this was very early days when the business looked a bit different. But one of the pieces of advice we had, or that I had, was to make sure that we didn't have an equal share so that one person had a casting vote. And we made a really conscious decision to ignore that advice. And I'm really, really glad that we did, because I think if you want to, I think in a co-founder, you want somebody who solves for your weaknesses, and hopefully we do that quite well. But I really like the fact that we have equal ownership in the business, and it might not work for everyone in all situations, but it means that we have to convince each other, and that's kind of what we do, isn't it? Yeah. We give each other like the absolute hardest possible sell that we can, and then if the other person's not convinced, we have to accept that it's not happening. And I think that's sort of what we do. We basically we force ourselves into a situation where we have to reach consensus. And luckily we have this hopefully deep level of underlying trust and respect, which means that if the other person's like, I can't agree to that, or I don't like it, we have to let it go. But because we are quite different in a lot of ways, that gives me, and I'm hopefully you too, comfort that we've solved for as sensible a decision as we can make between the two of us. And it's really important in those early days, because clearly we don't yet have a formal board. We have great investors and we can bounce ideas around. But even if you did, there's lots of smaller decisions as well as larger strategic decisions where it's just the two of us making those decisions. And I'm really grateful all the time that for that collective responsibility, I suppose.
Yeah, it's so true. I think solving for your weaknesses is the most important thing. I think we're quite fortunate and we are very, very different, but we share almost an entire overlap of our moral standings, which is super important.
And values.
And I think coming down to the trust piece that you were talking about, if we are locking horns on a topic, we know that they've got the best intentions at the core. So we can take it pretty far and it can get heated, but we know that actually we're doing this for the greater good for both of us and the business. And I think we've got a really strong relationship.
And I think there's a lot of chat about that concept, isn't there, of strong opinions weakly held or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not always weakly held. But I think founding with someone where you feel comfortable to really express your opinions and both ways. We'll just fight about it. We will. And I think it's great. And then we kind of move on. And that's sort of how we navigate it.
And reconciliation is us typically hanging from a monkey bar in the park around the corner from the office.
Yeah, we do actually, don't we?
I love that. So you actually go into a park?
We go for a walk.
We hang out.
We literally hang out, give our backs a stretch.
There's also a pretty incredible obstacle course as well that we'll do on a daily basis. Keep our minds sharp.
I think we need to come visit this obstacle.
The next recording we can do on set in the park.
Yeah, come to Shoreditch Park. We'll give you a tour.
Oh, that's awesome. I guess, Rory, now we're on this theme of founder journey and founder experience. What is the one thing that surprised you the most about the founder journey, or the one thing, the one thing that you wish you'd known when you started the founder journey?
What is most surprising, I think, is that everywhere I look, there's a whole new field of things that I had no idea that I needed to know about. So, for example, the process of setting up a business, setting up a EMI share scheme for your employees, all these things that on paper sound really simple, have layers and layers of bureaucracy. Yeah. Oh my God, the level of bureaucracy is absolutely insane. I think I was aware that everybody talks about the experience of looking for investment and finding product market fit. I knew that those things would be really difficult and complicated, but no one talks about the more boring side of setting up a business, and actually just the implications of getting it wrong as well.
But on that side there are probably implications of getting it wrong, but I suppose that for me, and I feel this more and more, hopefully every day as I gain confidence, it's like, just do it. Just try it. Like, and you will never experience so many failures on a daily, minute by minute basis. But I think that's when you're in the learning zone. And I think it's just being like super open. And I think increasingly you just realize, like, necessity is the mother of invention. So like we find it's those times when your back's against the wall and you feel like you're out of options, which is when you kind of fight like hell and you have your biggest successes. And kind of, I think sometimes when you're in that mindset, you don't have time to worry about failure, because so I guess it's like reconcile with all of that first, and then just as whatever you need to get yourself into that fight like hell mindset, and kind of live there as much as possible. I think that's what really helps us. And also I think being mindful about looking at looking at your wins and internalizing them, because I think that helps you to grow confidence.
100%.
And gives you the right mindset and the right energy when you're going into a pitch or a negotiation with that kind of grounded, confident stance. Now I'm just trying to be extra mindful about pushing us down that journey of internalizing when we are more grown up now. Do you know what I mean? We do have customers on our platform. We do have all these great relationships, and what you want to be doing is obviously like scaling really rapidly and moving you up the value chain in terms of the types of partners that we work with.
Yes.
And that requires, for me at least, a bit of an internalizing of where we are in that journey, because it's all happened so quickly. I think you need to say, right, no, I'm this person, I'm at this stage, and this is why it's awesome for you, large corporate, to work with us, and this is the real value that we bring. And obviously we deeply believe in what we're doing, and we've got evidence now to show that, which is very helpful. And it's, so I'd say to other founders, do whatever you need to do to really back yourself and feel very grounded and confident in that as much as possible.
And I always say, actually, like, if you show up somewhere and you're not sure about yourself being backed for that feeds through into everyone that you meet. It's every conversation that you have, whether it's customer, whether it's investor, all of those sorts of things. So either go all in or or don't. Basically, I think it's like ultimately, and it's a journey, right? And also what you said as well is like it is a test iteration. It is an up and down. There is so many things that you spend 90% of your time doing things that you never thought were your skill set, or you never thought you'd be doing. And then there's an inflection point at some point when you're like, I'm going to hire someone for that 50%. I'm going to take that bit off. And then I've got this left. And you keep handing off those things until, if you're super aware, you just keep building on the skill sets that you know are your strengths and are what's going to drive the business forward, and where you guys want to focus your times.
Just one anecdote to add to that, in case it's helpful for someone. We sometimes, after calls, we just have a little reflect, and we found ourselves on so many occasions when someone asks us a direct question and we don't confidently give a direct answer, like, what's the valuation you're raising at? Or that's if we're talking to an investor, for example, or what's your conversion rate? Or if you're talking to a partner, I'm trying to think of one that we've fudged, because we're like, I don't know, I'm scared. Like, what's the cost of your product? Like, that's embarrassing, but do you know what I mean? You have to just say it really confidently and know that it's great value. And if there's any hesitation there, because you're, as you said, you're not sure, that really comes across, because you're starting a negotiation and they're going, oh, this person's not confident in their product, because they can't immediately tell you what it costs. And that really feeds through. So those are some of the learnings that we've had when we've sort of sat back after a call, even if it went well, and we kind of give each other feedback, and because sometimes you don't notice because you're the one that's doing it, but even those small things, I think, make a difference and are worth just sort of brushing up on, or just kind of being aware of, like, what are your weak spots, because I'm definitely new to sales, and a lot of it is how you present yourself.
And I think that's the other big surprising thing of a founder is, for me, was just this, like, you're actually constantly in sales, whether you're selling to customers, or you're selling to investors, you're selling to partners, you're whether selling to your first employees to join you.
Oh my God,
you're basically a full, like, one of the founders is always in full-time sales.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We say that to the team. Everybody works in sales.
And then I guess just going back to product, and obviously you've built this incredible product, you've got this incredible solution. What is it that you think is beyond what we've already talked about, but it's so unique about the way that employees can use it in the workforce? And also just a little bit about how can because companies is benefiting so much from offering this to their employees as well. So if we could just touch on like the benefits to both like employees and then also to the companies that are offering it out already to their employees.
So I'll pick up on the employee piece first. And this is designed to be as close to zero friction as possible. So we mentioned earlier, the most important factor is convenience. And so what we do is we pretty furiously seek out these moments of intent, we call them. So the exact moment when somebody's starting to think about saving is when they should be shown a beautiful onboarding ramp to sign up and open a savings account. And that needs to be effortless. So we work with payroll providers essentially to have this onboarding ramp pop up at the exact moment of intent, and someone can open an account within a couple of taps, and that's it. Their money is then coming directly from source, or from their salary, which is another important piece here, because that money never goes through their current account. So it stings a little less as an employee, because you never really counted on that money. It's going straight into a savings account. And even more so, if we're able to get you to save at a moment like when you started a new job or you got a pay rise, which is you're feeling a bit more flush and you think, oh, cool, I'll tuck away an extra couple of £100 a month. And then every single time you're paid, it's just automatic. So the automated aspect is super important, because you can set up a savings account and people do it, and they might put a lump sum in, but they're not recurringly adding money to their savings. So building that financial resilience over time. So we're just taking away all of the overheads with that and making it totally effortless with these great rates, which the vast majority of people are not accessing because of convenience. So we're basically integrating with payroll to make that journey totally effortless. That's on the employee side. So
that's brilliant. So basically, once you've signed up and auto-enrolled once, it's automatically taking it out of your paycheck before it even hits your bank account, and you're getting great rates for it. And it's a periodic kind of behavior that you get used to from a mindset perspective.
Exactly.
Because it never hits your bank account. I know a lot of people who always like move things to their saving pots, but then take them out of their saving pots, and then they lose those savings essentially for the things they really need. So
it's a bit more set and forget, and that being tucked away slightly is actually really beneficial. That perceived friction of getting into your money is great for saving. It's like having a physical piggy bank in your room. You don't want to smash it.
And we've built in lots of other interesting behavioural nudges based on our lots of testing that we've done in various places, including at Monzo. So every part's got a goal. So you're 10 times more likely to hit a savings goal if you have one. And there's something really lovely about, and we've done quite a lot of interesting events where we've been with employers, in the foyer, ask people, what are you saving for? And it's a really lovely question, because people will tell you what their hopes and dreams for the future are. And then you have an emotional response to that, obviously. And it's usually something that's really, really important to you, really close to your heart, the things that you're saving for. And I think that's really inspiring. And then you can label your pots with your goals. So your rainy day fund, or maybe it's Christmas. The average Brit gets in £1,000 worth of credit card debt for Christmas. And obviously they're going to be paying 40% on that. So we're, for example, looking at saving as a service. How do we nudge you to say, if you put £100 a month in now, we'll give you 750 quid straight back into your current account on Black Friday, so you can do your Christmas shopping, and you haven't got that stress every time you buy a Christmas present that you're going to end up in debt for half of the year. But it's those behavioural nudges and showing you where you are, like a progress bar, and sending dopamine hits back into your brain to say you're on track with your saving. And it's these small ways that, going back to the point about brain science I was talking to you before, help you transition out of that scarcity mindset into a happier, sort of safer place in terms of psychology, which is just so beneficial for everyone. So we hope that by adding these layers, we're really creating a kind of a proper rounded wellness product as well as a financial wellness product.
Brilliant. No, I love it. And I guess what you're also doing is creating a new category in fintech. So how does that feel?
Like an uphill battle, to be honest. This is for the first many months of Sync, we were doing a lot of educating, so explaining what this does. You're starting to hear people talk about payroll savings and salary savings now of their own accord in industry newsletters, and even through that we've had a competitor pop up out of nowhere seemingly over the past few months. But I think that is for us quite it legitimizes our product, and that validation reflects the amount of work that we put into a lot of publication, a lot of FaceTime and speaking, just mostly, but speaking at events as well, getting this product out there to explain what this new category is. But the flip side of that uphill battle is that we're going to be the first to the top of the hill, and that means that we've got first mover advantage. And it's actually, when we explain it to people, it's quite an easy concept to grasp, thankfully. So that puts us miles ahead of these new competitors, for example, or the legacy businesses that like payroll providers who might want to break into this space. We've now got miles of head start. So it's a double-edged sword being the first mover and category defining.
Yeah, but it's really nice actually, and we're seeing increasingly inbound from employees who are saying, "Can you help me?" Or industries, for example, we've got some brilliant partners in the trunking space, which is they work with frontline hospitality workers who earn tips, and they're looking at how do you help those people save their tips. So traditionally, employers would hold back some of those tips to smooth their salary, and a lot of people that earn tips, actually, it's a really large part of their, or proportion relatively of their income. So if you work in a hotel, you might make £2,000 a month of tips, particularly in a high season. And I love this. I love this data point. We work with TipJar, and they look after Honest Burger, and some people at Honest Burger, in the very high footfall Honest Burgers, make £100,000 a year in tips, which is amazing.
Wow.
But
that's £100,000 in tips.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
You might have a few people quitting jobs.
I know, go work at Honest Burger.
I know everyone at Honest Burger who isn't on that same level.
But and they had people who were previously logging onto the TipJar platform and removing their bank details every month because they were like, "Don't pay it to me, I'm trying to save it." And yeah, it's really cool. Like increasingly now, when we speak to potential distributors, they're like, "This is our most asked for benefit," and we've heard that increasingly, and that's just so gratifying. Or we're talking to platforms who are saying, or payroll providers, or even pension providers now, the more forward-thinking pension providers, folks that look after people that work in the gig economy. They're saying, "This is our most asked for benefit," or "We'll onboard you if you can offer some sort of feature to help people smooth out their savings." And so, that's very exciting that we're happy that people are starting to think of us now in that context, and we're starting to kind of push more above the line stuff, which is really cool.
And even before payroll savings exist, I mean, actually, this is the second time payroll savings is coming into existence, because in the 80s, there was a much more manual version of this that was out there, but not very widely used. But people have been asking for this product, but just not giving it a label. So we had a great example last week. We were speaking to a really large employer who they pass surveys around to their employees every fortnight or whatever, and they give feedback through that survey. And they read verbatim 3 cases of employees asking for their employers to withhold some of their cash for a savings product. And that employer, when they saw our proposition or our product online, it was a light bulb moment, and they were suddenly, they thought, I can actually offer this thing that my employees are asking for by partnering with Sync, for example. And actually, from an employer's perspective, there's some pretty horrific stats out there whereby there's 4.2 million days lost every year in absenteeism for employers because of financial insecurity for their staff. So this product obviously goes a way to help employees, and happier employees means higher productivity and lower turnover in employment, which is all amazing. But also this particular product is accessible to all employees because, as Joss mentioned earlier, there's no minimum salary to contribute to a savings account.
Yeah.
Everyone can do it. It doesn't impact minimum wage at all. So suddenly you've got this amazing benefit that moves all of these levers or needles to help happiness and productivity, etc., and incredibly low cost. So
yeah, and I guess if you're an employer right now, that is the number one concern. So thinking about financial wellness benefits, and what could be more satisfying than literally moving money into your employee savings pot every month. You know you're helping them every month, rather than, and education's amazing, but we prefer sort of a show, not tell. And it's gratifying, I'm sure, as an employer to know that you're placing money into a savings pot every month for your employees and immediately helping them to build financial resilience. So yeah, we find that exciting, and we just love to see people sign up and see how much people are saving. And yeah, it's a great feeling, especially when you can know, for example, we can look at what people's ages are, what their salaries are, and how much they're saving. And yeah, it's just really wonderful to see.
Even the habits, there's some really surprising saving habits out there.
Brilliant.
There is, my favorite is the folks who put all of their salary straight into a savings pot, and they'll draw down on it like an allowance every week, which is optimizing savings to the absolute nth degree.
I love that, yeah.
And I can only imagine how many more different use cases you're going to be seeing as the product evolves and the business scales as well.
Yeah. There's the I think I fall into this category. I've labeled my category the optimistic saver. So I'll put some money in at the beginning of the month and then quite quickly realize that I've got to take that out.
And finally, just one more question before we wrap up. So where do you see the future of savings going, and where do you see the future of this business, both like UK and internationally? Like, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we're very excited for the future. So we want to land and expand and become a kind of dominant force in payroll savings in the UK. We already have loads of really exciting international opportunities. A lot of our partners have a presence overseas on the payroll and distribution partner and on the banking side. So that's a natural progression. But I think one of the other really exciting things is that we see cash savings as a kind of a wedge product. So once we've opened up these super powerful distribution channels for financial services straight to employees, we can then look at what comes next. So if you've reached your savings goals, so you've got your rainy day fund and you've got your kind of the liquid bit that you want, then do we look at investments? Do we look at other types of products that we can sell in to employees? And I think this is where we kind of double down on the benefits of having those payroll integrations.
I think you summarized it really nicely. But yeah, any financial advisor, I think the accepted standard is your first step should be to pay off high interest debt, then build a buffer for a rainy day event, and then look at expanding your portfolio into other products. So we're solving for the build your buffer and financial resilience piece. And then after that, layering on other products, I think is going to be super interesting. And we're lucky that our team also has a background in embedded investments, for example. So there are some quite obvious ways that we could make, but it'll be market-led for sure.
Amazing. So eventually you'll be able to put straight from your paycheck into an ISA or into stocks, shares, different asset classes and investment products.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us. For more interviews and content like this, please subscribe, and we're bringing more content to you like this on a weekly basis. Thank you.